Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about medical astrology and the planet Mercury. Well, first off, as far as the body parts that correspond with Mercury in medical astrology, now it could be connected with the arms, the hands, shoulders, the brain, eyesight, nerves, even respiratory system, central nervous system, wrists, fingers. And if somebody has their Mercury afflicted natally, especially if it's strongly afflicted, there could be some debilitations and illnesses that are associated with the planet. Like in my case, for example, I have Mercury making a square to my Uranus in my natal chart. Now, I have irrevocable, very extensive nerve damage, and Uranus could be connected with the nerves. And then you're talking about the arms and the hands are Mercury, and I have extensive nerve damage to my hands and arms. Now, Mercury can also be associated with the nerves. So if you have Uranus and adverse aspect to Mercury, could sometimes be a double whammy, so to speak, because you have one planet that could be associated with nerves, making an adverse aspect to the other. Then that can increase that propensity to have some damage issues connected with the nerves. I also have Uranus almost exactly conjunct my sixth house cusp, and the sixth house, of course, is associated with physical illnesses, debilitation. So that even increases that proclivity to have some kind of issues with the nerves. And it's something, I mean, being on the sixth house cusp, of course, something that could impact my daily routine. My Mercury also conjuncts my Sun, and the Sun could be associated with the physical body. Yes, the ascendant is what dominates the physical body, the appearance of the physical issues, but the Sun can still play a role in that as well. And you have Mercury on your Sun. Sometimes I would say that can manifest in some issues that could be Mercury related, because you have the planet very close proximity to the Sun, which in the Sun again could be associated with the physical body. So there may be some issues that is connected with that planet that is conjunct the Sun. Now, thing about it is, another example natally, you're talking about issues Mercury related. There was that infamous arsonist Paul Keller had his Mercury very close to the 29th degree of Sagittarius. See, not only does he have it natally in its detriment in Mercury, in its detriment in Sagittarius, he also has it, I mean, very close to the 29th critical degree. And when you have a planet at 29 degrees, it can be, I mean, you're talking about 29 degrees could be crisis oriented. To me, it seems like it can be something to one's detriment. And you have 29 in many cases. Now, 29 degrees of Sagittarius, he had suffered some brain damage, so it wouldn't surprise me if he was actually missing some parts of his brain. And it stated I don't know if it was Wikipedia or if it was another source, but it said it led to hyper activity. In Sagittarius is the sign if there's any kind of mental issue, that would be the one that's closely it's more synonymous with hyperactivity. So again, not only did he have his Mercury in it at near 29 degrees, he had it in its detriment in Sagittarius, the sign associated with hyperactivity. I believe he also had it, at least one adverse aspect that was made to it in his natal chart as well. But anyway, another thing is I want to talk about transits that involve the planet Mercury can also play a role in health-related issues that are associated with Mercury. Now, on May 30th, 2020, transit Neptune was at least making a loose conjunction to, I believe his name was Jack Spellman. He was a person in Denver that got shot with those rubber foam bullet and hit him in the eye. And I believe he had to have his eye removed. He lost the use of that one eye because of that. Now, transit Neptune made at least a loose conjunction to his natal Mercury. His natal Mercury is in Pisces and it is retrograde. Remember, retrograde is going inward, and he had the eye when he got hit with that rubber or a foam bullet or whatever. He had his eye pushed back. See, retrograde. You people have to remember that Mercury means a lot more than just about communication. It could also be about eyesight. And when you have transit Neptune by your natal Mercury, sometimes this could be the dissolving and dissipation of one's eyesight. He also had transit Chiron at that time, making at least a loose conjunction to his natal sun. Now the sun rules the left or the right eye depending on gender. I believe it didn't hit him in the eye that was associated with his sun, but it's still pretty close, no matter how you look at it. And it was in Aries, and you're talking about a policeman, and Aries could be associated with law enforcement. So anyway, well, another thing too is that another transit example I want to talk about with Mercury as far as physical health issues can go. Some of you that watch Forensic Files may have seen this episode. There was an episode where there was a girl and there was a man that was on a boat. And what happened was there was another boat that crashed into it, and the propeller on the boat that crashed into the other one caused a laceration in the woman's arm, and it killed the man that was in the boat. Now the woman's name is Nazarene Raza, and she had a laceration to her arm because of that incident. Now her arm is deformed now, and it's nowhere near, of course, the way it was. I'm sure she's not nearly she lost a lot of its capability because of that. Now at that time she had transit Neptune in Aquarius, making a loose inconjunct to her natal Mercury. Now when you're talking about inconjuncts in astrology, they could often be health-related issues. And Neptune, of course, could be associated with the sea, with boats, and you're talking about in the sign of bizarre, unorthodox Aquarius. And Mercury, of course, could be associated with the arms. And the thing about it is, it's not surprising. She had something that happened that was related with a boat that was very unusual, that caused an injury to her arm at the time. And the thing about it is, too, and again, you're talking about inconjuncts can often be about adjustments as well. So I'm sure this was obviously a major adjustment period that was taking place with her. And another thing too, she also had transit Chiron conjunct her natal Jupiter, and transit Chiron was not far from her natal Neptune. So you're talking about Jupiter could be associated with the outdoors, so it's not surprising that something happened, some kind of injury took place when she was outdoors, and her natal Jupiter conjuncts Neptune. And Neptune, of course, could be associated with boating and the sea, so that was another indicator of some there was going to be some physical issue and suffering that was associated with something that was connected with boating, and in this case the outdoors as well. So anyway, one last thing I want to talk about too, also when you're talking about Mercury and astrology and physical debilitations associated with it, also progressions can play a role in this as well. I mean, if somebody has in their progressed chart Saturn conjunct Mercury, of course, this could be associated with some limitations, perhaps with thinking, or something happens maybe with the speech that becomes limited, or even the respiratory system, something with the arms, the hands, the fingers at that time as well. And even in synastry, it could play a role as well. Now, let's say, for example, somebody has, in the synastry aspect, somebody has the South Node in Virgo conjunct one's Mercury in Virgo. Now, when you're talking about the South Node and it's conjunct something in synastry, that could often be about like a lot of drainage. Like the South Node person might deplete or drain the energy of that other person. And you're talking about Mercury could be mental energy. Let's say if it's in Virgo, the Mercury person might feel that they got to explain something over and over to that South Node person in agonizing detail, and it might cause a mental drainage for having to keep explain it over and over again, being very punctilious with details, and it might cause some kind of drainage of that Mercury person. Maybe the South Node person is doing something that's causing a lot of excessive communication that's not necessary, and it could cause a mental drainage of that as far as the Mercury person goes, as an example. So, uh, and another example could be if somebody, let's say in synastry, you have a Chiron conjunct Mercury aspect. That the Chiron person might cause some physical, some issues to the person in terms of the arms or the hands or the fingers. Or at the same time, remember, Chiron is the wounded healer. The Chiron person might actually be a healer in that regard as well, in matters that are Mercury related, such as something with the nerves or the shoulders or the hands, as an example, or eyesight. The person might be the person's physician in some cases. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.